Hey everybody, it's Alberto Vasallo again here at GBH Amplifies. I'm here at the Boston Public Library again, here with the Newsfeed Cafe, and another great panel. Now on today's show, if you haven't heard about La Casa, you are going to find out about a historic happening here in the city of Boston. I don't want to give it away in the first couple of minutes because the panel that I have is incredible. They will bring you up to speed with everything that's happened. I will say this. It has probably been the news of the month in the Latino community. So, Center for Arts, Self-Determination, and Activism, largest Latino cultural center in New England. Guess how much it cost? Guess how much his team put together to put this together? My lucky number. My lucky number is 33 because of, you know, right?
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird and Jose Canseco. $33 million they came up with. This, wait till you see it. It is worth every penny. And my panel is going to tell you a little bit more about history. Plus, there's a little bit of historic to this event. So, without further ado, on my right is a very good friend of the community, a very good friend of mine, someone I respect a lot, Vanessa Calderon Rosado. She is the IBA Chief Executive Officer. In a little while, we're going to tell you exactly what IBA means. It's another great acronym. Tomás Melendez, La Casa Campaign Co-Chair, and the person who took my advice on the design. No, I'm just kidding. Founding principal of Studio Ene, ¿verdad? Ene?
Sí, Studio Ene.
Who was responsible for the structure, for the design, all the architecture, Natasha Espada. 3 Puerto Ricans and a Cuban, so this is going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show, good show. All right, Vanessa, primero, gracias. This is a historic show because of the nature of what we're going to talk about. I want you to look into the camera and tell our audience a little bit, give me a little context of why this has been such an important news. It's been all over the place. I've seen it on the front page of El Mundo. I've seen it in the Globe. I've seen it I think they've talked about it here in GBH.
Yes.
But give us, our audience here at Amplifies, a little kind of background on this.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having us, Alberto. This is a really important moment for IBA, Inquilinos Boricuas en Acción, and the Latino community. IBA was founded in 1968 by a group of Puerto Rican activists here in Boston, in the South End neighborhood of Boston. They organized to stop the city's plan that was threatening to displace them, and they created IBA, so it would be the organization that would lead the revitalization of the neighborhood, of the barrio, and also the organization that would build affordable housing and community programs to really continue to help the community thrive. So if we fast forward almost 6 decades to today, IBA continues to do that work, empowering individuals and families through high-quality, affordable housing, education, financial and resident empowerment, and the arts. So why is that important? So you can understand the context of La Casa, the Center for Arts, Self-Determination, and Activism. From the very beginning, that group of Puerto Rican activists really felt and knew the importance of the arts, not only to celebrate our culture, our history, our heritage, our roots, but also as an important tool to build community, a community that's safe, vibrant, engaged, and thriving. So we continue that legacy, and La Casa will be this wonderful space that will help IBA to continue that legacy, but also it will be the largest Latino arts space in New England, as you mentioned. So imagine the abilities that we have now to celebrate culture, and through culture and arts, bring other people together and celebrate our history as well as building community.
And now we're taping this, and this will run for the next month. So last week, as of this taping, it was a week-long celebration. I know we have some photos of this because I want to put in context before I get to Tomas and to Natasha. But take me through kind of what's still fresh in your mind,
Yes.
The celebration that took place here in Boston.
Yes, well, last week we opened officially La Casa. So the grand opening was a full weekend of events that started with appreciation to our donors on Thursday night, but the big event happened on Friday at 1 p.m., Friday, May 15th, was the grand opening with a ribbon cutting. We had over 200 people come to the ribbon cutting of La Casa. Then later that night, we had the inaugural concert with maestro and professor at Berklee College of Music, Eric Castrillo. We had a number of open house events Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, and then on Saturday night, we had a dance fiesta. So it was an event full of music, performances, arts workshops, and hands-on activities. So people would come and not only dance or enjoy arts, but also get their hands on into art making.
Excellent. Okay. Tomas Melendez, you had the difficult task of, which is always very difficult when you have these wonderful programs, someone's got to pay for it. You've got to go out and raise some of the money. As campaign co-chair, why did you undertake this, and why is this important to you? And I want folks to know a little bit about your background, too.
So first of all, thank you, Alberto, for having me here. For those who don't know, I was the co-chair, but co-chaired with my wife. So this is a program and a facility that was not just important to me, but was important to my wife and to us as a family. As far as background is concerned, I grew up in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, and I grew up in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn before it became trendy, because now it's the trendiest part of New York City almost. But when I was growing up there, it was very much a predominantly Puerto Rican neighborhood. I spoke Spanish before I learned to speak English in school. When I went to the supermarket, for example, I didn't ask the guy behind the counter where the milk was. I asked him, ¿Dónde está la leche? And so, that just gives you a flavor for the kind of upbringing that both my wife and I, had, because we were both from Williamsburg. Now, the reason why this was such an important project to both of us was because we were the major beneficiaries of programs like this growing up. Centers in our neighborhood that basically kept kids off the street, that provided them with activities or nourished talents that we ourselves may not have known that we had. One of the things that I've always enjoyed doing is writing. And I would go to a workshop after school that was held at one of these centers. And it provided us with an opportunity to go there, have a safe environment where we knew we were going to learn, where we knew we were going to meet other Latino professionals for us to aspire to be. And as I said, and even in some cases, find these hidden talents that some of us didn't know we had. And to us, La Casa represents all of that, because La Casa is an area where not only potential artists in the Latino community, but the community in general, and La Casa, in our opinion, is a home run. It's a home run for Iba, it's a home run for Villa Victoria, and it's a home run for those in the South End. I think, heck, it's a home run for all of Boston, because it's an incredible structure where people could come in a safe environment, learn, again, be able to take some of these talents that they didn't know they may have had and work on them, or even if they knew they had them, share them with others. And so from the moment that Vanessa gave us the call and asked us both to be co-chairs of the campaign raising committee, we basically jumped in with 2 feet, because we knew of the importance to us, to the community, and what it means to the Latinos in general in Villa Victoria.
Excellent, excellent. Now, this is one of the exciting parts of today, because if you haven't been there or know what was there before, I would like to introduce the founding principal of Studio NA, Natasha Espada, who you had the great responsibility from an architect point of view of the design.
Right.
Take me through, if we have some photos, I'd love to put them up now, but how big is it? What are some of the major features of it? Give me the rundown.
So it's a 26,000 square foot building. It's 4 stories with a lower level. The lower level actually endorses the history of the church that was there originally in this historic district. And so basically there's a central multifunction space that actually is where the entire community gathers. It's on the inside of the block. It's next to O'Day Park. So it opens up into the park and becomes a celebration for the entire community at the city scale as well as the building scale. The lobby and the gallery space highlights all of the work that's being done by the community, that IBA, it has educational and educational pieces there. And then the upper levels are all the offices that are centralized now for IBA and resident services and all of the empowerment pieces that IBA does, which is pretty remarkable.
Tell me about your particular studio, Studio NA. How did you get involved, and how fulfilling was this from a personal as well as professional point of view?
To tell you the truth, it's the highlight of my career. I've been practicing architecture for 35 years. I'm from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I am from Isla Verde, particularly. I've been in Boston for 33 years, and I've been doing a lot of civic arts cultural projects for a very, very long time. And when Vanessa called me to see if we wanted to put a proposal in, I do have to say that we're the prime architects of the building, and we also have Anam Architects, who are our collaborating architect. And the reason we went at it together is because I have a women and minority-owned firm here in Boston, and Anam has a firm in Boston as well that focuses also on the arts. And Anbeja in particular was part of the Landmarks Commission at one point. So we felt like together we would be a stronger architecture team, and I think that it was a pleasure working with them and working with IBA on it. But we were really, really interested in creating an architectural piece in the historic Victorian South End that was modern, that was respectful of the entire context and the community, and that really showed what IBA and Puerto Rican architecture in a modern way could really be.
So it's also like for tourists in Boston, that's a must stop, right? Because of the history and what we have here now. And speaking of that, I know we always talk about IBA with housing and so forth, and now the arts, but you guys do so much more in the community. Tell the folks out there some of your nuts and bolts programs that you have for the community.
Sure, where IBA provides affordable housing as the core of the work that we do. And we have a housing portfolio of 667 units. So there are 667 families that are housed in our affordable housing units. So we're very proud of that work that continues that legacy of those Puerto Rican activists from the 60s. But in addition to the housing, we have obviously all the property management and resident services that really support our residents with wraparound services that include an early education program, which was the first bilingual early education program that was established in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts back in the early 70s, and we have continued that. So early education, youth development programs for after school and summer programming for our young people, financial empowerment programs that has a home ownership component, and of course the arts. So all of these wraparound services really provide and make IBA a national model for community development in which we provide not just the housing and a safe community, but also all these programs pretty much from cradle to grave, because our early education program starts at 4 months old, and then we continue to serve the community through the elders, the super adults, as we call them now, that live in the community. So it's really an amazing community development model that really goes beyond the traditional housing and economic empowerment.
I'm going to ask Natasha and Thomas both the same question, because I imagine, I'm going to bet that this is true. I knew you went into it knowing a lot about IBA, but I imagine you came out knowing even more. What is one or two things that you learned during this entire process that you didn't know before you went into your respective kind of responsibilities with the program?
Well, what's really interesting is that I've had friends that have worked with IBA. And when I first moved to Boston in 1993, my roommate worked in development for IBA. So I know what IBA used to be, and I saw the transformation that Mayra, Vanessa, and their entire team and their board has done since 1993, and it's remarkable. My cousin came from Puerto Rico to do an event at one point. He did it at the previous church, and I think it was Villa Victoria Center for the Arts. And then they also did it in the park adjacent to it. So for me to see this transformation, not only of the organization, but of all the work they put into and all the love they put into their buildings and into especially creating this new La Casa, to me, it's incredibly remarkable.
Excellent. Tomas, maybe you and Aitza learned something new.
Yeah, so I had a personal interaction. I posted on social media what was going on in La Casa and our involvement, my involvement and my wife Aixa Beauchamp's involvement with IBA and also with La Casa. And much to my surprise, I had a cousin who reached out to me. He said he worked at IBA years ago, which I had no clue. And so that was just, from a personal standpoint, he spoke about how IBA impacted his life and the things that he's doing now. And so, personally, it was someone who reached out to me, someone who's a family member, who spoke about his experience at IBA and what he had done there. and that they were really, memorable years for him. Just for me, it was a moment where it put everything into perspective.
Kind of full circle, right?
It really came full circle. I mean, I had no idea.
Yeah. How about you? You are you're the IB Chief Executive Officer. You do a lot going in, but what did you learn now coming out? Because this was I remember when we did this story when the building came down.
Yeah.
I remember being there with you and saying, which was funny because at that point we were like, oh wow, this is like a dream. Let's see how it is in a few years. So we have that photo. The El Mundo photographers have that photo for posterity's sake. But what did you learn after the process?
Yeah, and Alberto, you just threw me down memory lane because I do remember very well that day in which you were there and we were talking about, this important symbolic space coming down and talking about the vision. And really, it has been, like it's been said before, a labor of love. And and it goes beyond one person, right? It really takes a villa, a Villa Victoria, to build a building of this magnitude and a space of this importance for our community. And one of the things that I've learned, I learned a number of things throughout the process, but one of the things that I learned was, or is, the resilience of our community. In order to get here and to open La Casa to the public on May 15th of 2026, which the Governor Healy declared La Casa Day in Massachusetts.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
To get to that day, there was so much community effort and involvement, beyond obviously engaging our donors and engaging our design team and professionals. Really, the community leading this process and really thinking of the vision. What do we want to see in on this site, and what would it take to make it happen? And it took a lot of cafecitos with different people, a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations with the community of Villa Victoria, but also the community of the South End, a lot of conversations with the city about what we wanted to see and how they would buy into that vision and how we could collaborate together. Long hours, long nights, lots of meetings, and through all of that process, really, the love, resilience, and engagement of our community, pushing through all the challenges and overcoming all those hurdles.
Yeah, I think, again, for perspective, this is the largest Latino cultural center in New England. It is a big structure, 4 stories high, with that opening into the park. I remember seeing, I've driven by. I haven't been to the opening ceremonies yet because my sister hogs all the spotlight with Iba. Maria Vasallo,
She's the chair of our board.
Yes, everything Iba in our family goes through Mari. But I saw the photos. I saw everything. What can we see in the future? What exciting things do we have coming up this summer? Because I know you have activities coming up this summer going into the fall.
Absolutely. So now that the space is open, we're going to have a lot of different activations, primarily in the Jean and Tom Yockey Hall, which is the multi-purpose arts and performance space. So that space, as Natasha mentioned, had this wonderful wall of glass that opens, doors that open to the adjacent municipal playground. So we are really looking forward to have indoor-outdoor events there. The Tito Puente Latin Music Series, in collaboration with Berkeley and the city of Boston, really having the whole space and the whole building activated. These 2 important community assets really coming together for celebrating arts and culture. And then, of course, Festival Betances on July 18th.
Always the third weekend.
The third Saturday.
The third Saturday even, yes. The third Saturday in July.
So that's also coming up. But one of the things that is really amazing about the new space that we're very excited about is also not only our own programming, but also opening it up for programs for other artists, whether it's rehearsal space or performance and production space, or for people to rent it out for their own events. So we're really excited, and we have had already an overwhelming number of people knocking on our doors, when can we rent it? When can we rent it? So we're really looking into opening it up for the community at large. And it has so many beautiful spaces in the design, including elements honoring the old space, because we wanted to be respectful. That old space was very important for us too, and how we wanted to honor that history, the history of the site. So generations to come, this is a legacy project, so generations to come, when 4 other people are sitting here talking about La Casa and other topics, they can fully understand the importance of the
Yeah,
site.
2026 is the year for La Casa. Started a few years ago, and I'm really happy that obviously we've seen this vision, and you're right. This video will be historic. In 20 years, Tomas will look exactly the same. I guarantee you.
Alberto, can I add something that Vanessa and Tomas reminded me of? You know, as a Puerto Rican woman that's been here in Boston for a long time, and as an architect that's generally not women and minorities are not involved, that's why I created my firm. La Casa and IBA is such an important place for us. Just even going last week, you feel so welcome. You feel like your community is being represented in a very distinguished way. But also, it's a representation for those that are coming behind us. We're trying to get more women, more minority architects. La Casa is an amazing example. With the terracotta, with the colors of IBA that is identifiable to the community, right? With the terrace that overlooks the park and all of that. I just wrote a chapter for Latinas in Architecture to give money to Arquitinas to be able to get more women registered. And I talked about La Casa and how it made me authentic as an architect. So I practiced for a long time, but I was missing that piece of authenticity of
This
being a
was it.
Latina.
And
And this was it.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, I'd also like to add something there because I think we're being a little, shy about what a beautiful structure this really is. And parts of it, I mean, I went into a part where they were able to keep the stained glass that belonged to the original church. And that room just blew me away. It's an area where I can see people going to meditate, to think about what's going on in their life, to have some quiet time, but surrounded by this beautiful stained glass that encompasses all the rooms. So I think, the architects, the people who planned this, the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this building did a phenomenal job, because I walked in there with one expectation and I left with a totally different expectation in terms of future use, in terms of the people who are going to benefit from this, and the spaces that are there for the community, not just for, people to come in on a daily basis, but what happens during the weekends, what happens during the evenings, places for people to go and seek solace or seek advice. I mean, it's just such a wonderful structure that I encourage everyone who can to go by, have a visit, and hopefully get a tour, because the whole building is just, it really is a masterpiece. So
Yes.
kudos to you and to your firm for doing such a great job with that. You guys did a phenomenal job with the layout, the building, and the structure. So I'm really, when you say, what did I learn? This far exceeded my expectations. It was it's unbelievable experience.
Yes.
Go up. Yeah.
I agree. It's such a beautiful building and so welcoming. The moment you walk towards it, it's just warm. It's just the exterior, and then you walk in, and it really brings you in. There's such a warmth to each texture, each inch of the building. And one of the things that we wanted to do, and when we worked with the design team, with Natasha and the architects, was that we wanted a space, especially interior in the design, that would provide the most flexibility for IBA to grow and to run programs. So you have multiple conference spaces that could be a workshop. We have arts classrooms, studios, tech spaces, but all of these spaces are multifunction. So we can open doors or close doors and make spaces bigger or smaller, so they can adapt to our reality, to our day-to-day, and to the growth that IBA is planning for the future. So it's really, truly beautiful and amazing.
I can see La Casa as being a place where private organizations, nonprofits, host meetings, staff meetings, holiday parties, or just what they call day out of the office, where you just want to have lunch and a little working lunch. That's what I'm looking for Mundo to do. I want to get, obviously I'm going to get the tour and the family discount, right, Maria? For doing that with La Casa. And if anybody would like to get in contact, what's the best way for people to book or take a look at and book a tour?
Yeah, well, I would encourage people to go to ibaboston.org, and there you will see right on the front page an announcement in which you can go directly into La CASA page, or you can see on top La CASA, and there you see more information, you see pictures, and also a link for giving to help us close out our campaign. We still need to raise $2.5 million to close our campaign, and also a link to rent a space.
Okay. And all of this we will have on screen over and over. We've already had them on, but we'll continue to put on screen the information for those who want to contribute, for those who want to see the space, for those who just want to tour, right? Because it is a historic place in Boston, which we haven't mentioned. What was there before?
Sure. So before there was the turn of the century,
Yep.
1899, All Saints Lutheran Church, that it was an active congregation until about the 70s, the late 70s. That congregation left, and IBA acquired the building in 1980 and quickly turned it into an important community art space, which was the dream of our community. We always were yearning for that space. So from the mid-80s till 2020, the space was an iconic space, not just for Latino arts, but really a gathering space for the city and for our community, for sure. So we were renovating that space and found structural problems that led us and led the city to close down the space because of the challenges, and that led us to this wonderful new space, La CASA, the Center for Arts, Self-Determination.
I know one group that's going to be renting those out. All of these great candidates, watch. They're going to all be calling you. No, I want this space. No, this Saturday. Because it's such a great modern place. It combines so many different things that I would venture to say it is unique in all of New England. Right, Tomas? I mean, unique is a good word to describe it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just taking off on something Alberto said a little earlier, I would be remiss as the co-chair of the Capital Campaign Committee if I don't say this to you out there and everyone who's listening in here, that we are still accepting checks and we're still accepting contributions to IBA. We have an operating budget. It costs a lot of money to run a center like this. So anything, if you have a contribution to make, anything you can do will help. And Vanessa, where can they send that to?
Yeah.
They can send that to ibaboston.org, or there's information there on how to give.
Right on the website, I've seen it. Yeah,
Multiple ways to give.
So we're going to continue to put the website on camera for those who want to continue. All right, parting words. Anything that I may have missed? Anything?
One of the things that I wanted to mention is that the building is sustainable. It's going to be LEED silver and hopefully gold. So let's see what happens. And
What does that mean?
That means that it is it's sustainable. It meets all of it exceeds everything that the city of Boston is requiring for sustainability. We have all the way from the plumbing to the plantings to the roof being light so that it doesn't emit. So that doesn't absorb the electrical systems.
HVAC.
The HVAC is all electric. All the materials are locally resourced, most of them, except for the terracotta, because we wanted something that was very specific. So what we did is we balanced it all to make it as, in general, as sustainable as possible and resilient as possible.
I'm sure the mayor loved that part, right? Mayor Wu
Yeah.
was there, I saw.
And we have more information on the building. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to, IBA will have it on their website, and we also have it on our website, Studio NA, studioenee.com. And we have some information on there so that you can learn more about how the building works, what the materials that we use, and our process.
State of the art building, especially the Gene and Tom Yockey Hall from top to bottom, is the latest in arts technology.
You got to come to la hora del café.
I would love to.
Tenemos que hablar de esto en español.
Claro que sí.
Claro que sí.
Cuando
I
quieras.
love all that. See, I learned so much today. I learned so much from Natasha. I mean, obviously the history, and Tomas, I know I feel exactly like you. This is great for our community. I look at the broader picture in terms of what it really does and represents for all of us. But I didn't know all that about the building and how how modern and really functional it is.
And beyond all of that, I do want to say we do a lot of projects here in Boston and throughout New England, and this client team has been excellent. They made amazing choices for us to be able to move the project forward, and it was a really amazing pleasure to work with. So it's a full team. It's not just the architects. We just create the built environment, but we're guided by them. And Vanessa, Mayra, Tomas, Aisha, the entire group, the decisions that they made throughout the process made it easy for us to be able to build the building that we did.
Excellent.
If I can just say one last thing, I mean, even though La Casa is a physically a new structure, it's a building that's been there for a very long time, has an incredible history, and if those walls could speak, and if they could provide us with the knowledge that's been obtained there, we'd all be better for it. So again, it's a new structure, but it has a lot of history, and it's totally entrenched in the neighborhood and in the community.
Excellent, excellent. All right, I told you you would learn what La Casa is. With this, what we just talked about half hour, I learned a lot of stuff, so I can imagine a lot of our audience. And please feel free to contribute. This is an ongoing process. Feel free to stop by. This is an ongoing invitation to all our community. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Newsfeed Cafe, what do we have today? What do we have? Any specials? We're coming over in a little while, okay? What is it? Ay, Carolicias, comida venezolana in the house. Las chamas están allá. Always, Carolicias, always supporting them as well. Thank everybody for tuning in and for being here. And we'll be back one more, right, Sandra? Next month. And remember, everybody, not the most important thing, but one of the very important things of today, it's Lauren's birthday. Where's Lauren Herb, one of our producers? Is she here? Happy birthday, Lauren. We won't ask how old, so very good. All right. I learned that from Vanessa. She said, never ask the age, right? No. All right, everybody. Thank you. Tomas, gracias. Natasha,
you.
gracias.
Gracias.
Vanessa, you are always welcome here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next month. GBH Amplifies with Alberto Vasallo from the Boston Public Library. Have a great rest of the month, everybody. Bye-bye. Good job, studio audience. Best studio audience ever.